विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ वर्स नंबर 173 देहादिपञ्जरं यन्त्रं तदारोहोऽभिमानिता विहितप्रतिषिद्धेषु प्रवृत्तिर्भ्रमणं भवेत्। So the analysis of Ishvara, well, it is, which is a Tatpada Vachyartha, is being done by Vidyaranya in these verses. Ishvara's analysis, the immediate meaning of Ishvara is only known through Shastra. Immediate meaning of Jiva should not be known through Shastra. It is known through Pratyaksha. So, I am an individual, well, the gross, which includes, this gross body, Pratyaksha. My mind, Sakshi Pratyaksha. My senses, everything. So, to know the immediate meaning of a Tvam Pada, one need not go to Shastra. But to know the immediate meaning of a Tat Pada, one has to go to Shastra. Yeah. So, Ishvara, either knowing its immediate meaning or knowing its implied meaning, one has to go to Shastra. And that is how we are discussing Ishvara, the Tatpada Vachyartha, resorting to only Shastra. I am showing you the link. We introduce Ishvara, and which is Tatpada Vachya, well, definitely through Shvetashvatar Upanishad. Mayant Prakritim Vidyat Mayinam tu Maheshwaram, like that. So Ishvara is a Mayi, Maheshwara. Well, that how do you know? Through, but it is, how do you say it is Tatpada Vachya? Maya. He is a Mayi. So definitely Maya Upadhi is included. When you include Upadhi, it is Vachyartha. When you don't include Upadhi, it is Lakshartha. That is what we are doing. In Lakshartha, we are removing the Upadhi. And therefore, removing Upadhi, because it is Mithya. What is removing Upadhi means we don't want to count. Not removing something physically. But we don't count. That's all. And we don't count mean we don't, basically by not counting, in fact, we are basically making Ishvara as, more pervasive. Sometimes you don't count something, the things become smaller. Yeah. By not counting, you are saying it is Brahman. By counting Upadhi, you are making a difference between Jiva and Ishvara. Jiva is a controlled and Ishvara is a controller. And definitely, Jiva is controlled. Controlled cannot be controller cannot be controlled. And therefore, you are making a division. And then division means you are definitely, basically belittling. It's a belittling Ishvara. So when you remove the Upadhi, well, means making the Upadhi, showing the Upadhi as a Mithya, not making the Upadhi, showing Upadhi as a Mithya, well, definitely you are showing Ishvara as a Brahman, all pervasive. And that is the reality, in fact. That's how we call reality. This is a reality. Control also is a reality. And there is no controlled controller, etc. That's also a reality. There is one thing alone, that is also reality. That's the ultimate reality. And this is a reality in which there is a transaction. It's a transactional reality. He definitely releases karmas and vasanas, and that by he controls the jiva, etc. And so there is a relationship, and there is a transaction, etc. All that is there is in between Tatpada and Tvampada Vachyartha. Tvampada Vachyartha, I know through Pratyakshadi, through Paurushe Pramana. Tatpada Vachyartha, I know only through Apaurushe Pramana. Because Ishvara is never available. We have seen that actually. Ishvara is not available for, for through Pratyaksha. It's not available. And therefore, why? Because Ishvara is Jagat Karanam. To know Jagat Karanam, you should be there while he is creating the creation. While he creates the world, universe. You should be there. Knowing, Ishvara is there. Yes, he is creating. That is not possible. And therefore, ultimately, you will have to resort to Ishvara. But then, Ishvara is a Karanam, but I am not able to accept. Okay, then apply now your reasoning. That's a Paurushe Pramana. But the basic statement is taken from the Shastra. In order to understand, to assimilate in your buddhi that Ishvara is Jagat Karanam, you employ your Pramana which is given to you. That is inference, etc. That is helpful. One has to do, otherwise you will not be able to. My statement that Ishvara is a Jagat Karanam, Abhinna Nimitta Upadan Karanam, accept it. You will not be able to accept if you don't employ inference, etc., tarka, etc. You cannot. And therefore, Paurushe Pramana has to be used in order to understand a Paurushe Pramana. Paurushe Pramana cannot help you independently to arrive at Ishvara as a Jagat Karanam. Cannot help. Therefore, Pratyaksha itself is not working, then Mula Pramana itself is not working. Where is a question of Anumana, etc. Anumana always works when Pratyaksha works. Some data from Pratyaksha has to be used by the person, by Pramata, in order to arrive at a particular conclusion, definitely. He may be a scientist, it may be anybody. One definitely requires certain data based on Pratyaksha. So where Pratyaksha itself is not working in order for Ishvara, no data available for Ishvara through Pratyaksha, therefore Anumanam, etc. also won't work. And Pratyaksha on this side is a Mula Pramana in a Paurushaya, and Shastra is a Mula Pramana in a Paurushaya. Therefore, that is how we have to understand. Both are Mula Pramana. No one is able to negate. Both are powerful. One Pramana cannot enter into other's field. Shastra cannot enter into Pratyaksha. And Pratyaksha cannot enter into Shastra. No. Subject matter also is different that way. It's a unique Pramana. It's basically self-validating. Every Pramana is independent and self-validating. So, how, proving the colors, etc. Well, eyes alone is Pramana independently. And it is self-validating. You cannot verify whether you cannot validate what the color, etc., the form, etc., revealed by eyes. You cannot validate through ears. Never. Every Pramana is self-validating and independent. And that's how every Pramana has its own domain. And therefore, that way, Pratyaksha also has its own domain. Shastra has its own domain. Pratyaksha has a domain so far as the world is concerned. Shastra has a domain so far as the cause of the world is concerned. That is Ishvara. So, very clear. All these things are now in our mind, it is very clear. Now, few more things I have a responsibility today to make it clear regarding this Antaryami and etc., which I thought that, it is to be discussed. Anyway, when that point comes, I will discuss it. So, so we will start with the Shvetashvetar, because to know the Tatpada Vachyartha, exactly that is Ishvara. and that Shvetashvata revealed it is a Mai and Maheshwara. And then Vidyaranya switched over. In order to understand more this Tatpada Vachyartha, he has switched over to Mandukya, 6th mantra. Esha Sarveshwaraha, Esha Sarvagnaha, Eshontaryami, etc. etc. And so there, from there he got some more data. Sarveshwara, Sarvagnaha, Sarva Antaryami. And so he explained every word then. Sarveshwara means what? There Paurushe Pramana, employing the buddhi. Oh, I want to understand what is this Sarveshwara. Definitely a Paurushe Pramana works, but the data has come from the Shastra. See, you should understand, so two spheres, taking one Pratyaksha as a Moolam and then analyze in your buddhi, inference, etc. Or take the data from the Shastra and again analyze. Either way. One is called Shruti Sammata Tarkaha. One is called Kevala Tarkaha, means based on Pratyaksha, etc. Anyway, so Pratyaksha based Tarka you can say, not Kevala Tarka if you don't want to say that way. Okay, Pratyaksha based Tarka or Shruti based Tarka. Anyway, and so then from Mandukya he has gone to, he picked up the word Sarveshwara, Sarvagnya and Sarvantaryami. For Sarvantaryami he went to now Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, where this Sarvantaryami has been explained elaborately in several mantras in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad in the 3rd chapter, 7th section. And then after, he says, I am exhausted with how many Shrutis I can quote. And therefore let me go to now Smriti. So then he came down to Smriti, Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, 61 verse number. Ishvara sarva bhutanam ruddesher junatishthati brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudhani maya. What is explained there? Oh, Antaryami, same Antaryami, which has been explained in Brihadaranyaka. How can you say that? There is no word called Antaha, no word called Yami. And therefore, either of that is not there in Bhagavad Gita. How can you say, well, the same Antaryami has been explained there? So then we said Ruddeshe, which is this Antaryami is right there in the heart, Antaha. Antaha means Ruddeshe. And Brahmayan, he impels all the jivas to do activity. So Yamayati, controls. So by impelling, he controls. So in Bhagavad Gita, the word Ruddeshe and Brahmayan explains Antaha and Yami. So that is how this is to be understood. And that has to be explained, right? This verse also has to be explained because that this is basically talking about the Antaryamitvam, inner controller of everything. So he explains that. In 171 he quoted this verse of Bhagavad Gita, and 172, 173, 174 is a commentary on that verse. And then he pointed out that all bhutas refer to all the jivas, basically sarva bhutani means and these jivas means here jiva means conditioned consciousness. Conditioned by what? Conditioned by sukshma sharira. Well, but in sukshma sharira, how 17 avayavas or 19 avayavas are there? And so, out of this, what is most important? Vijnanamaya is most important. Okay? And therefore, instead of a Sukshma Sharira, Vimani Chaitanya, Jiva, indicated by the word Sarva Bhutani. Well, now I am saying it is Vijnanamaya. It is Karta. Okay? Because Vijnanamaya is the one who is a knower, who is a decider, who is having a discriminative capacity, and therefore most important. And therefore, out of all this, forgetting about Pranamaya Kosha, and forgetting about even Anandamaya Kosha also. He says, or Manomaya Kosha also. Forget about that Anandamaya, I'm sorry. So, Manomaya and Pranamaya has not been taken into account. Vijnanamaya has been taken into account out of the subtle body, because the Karta is the most important. And therefore, this is how he explains that this is Jiva who is in the form of Vijnanamaya. Vijnanamaya Kosha Rupa. And how do you say Vijnanam is a Karta? All this we have to connect. Oh, Vijnanam Yajnam Tanute, Karmani Tanute Picha, Itaitiriya Upanishad. Said very beautifully while revealing Panchakoshas, analyzing Panchakoshas. In order to arrive at the Sakshi of a Panchakosha, well, it talks about Vijnanamaya as a Karta. Vijnanam yajnam tanute. It performs. This Vijnanam performs yajna, karma. And so, clearly it has been discussed. And so, Sarva Bhutani is equal to Vijnanamaya Rupa. Vijnanamaya Rupa Jivatma. Okay, he is a controlled. Bhutani Brahmayan. So, they are controlled. They are impelled by that Antaryami, who is a Ishvara, etc. So, and now before I go, I would like to say few points. I think let me make it clear. See, there is a Brahman and there is a Prakriti, Purusha and Prakriti. I am going to some basic things. And in that Prakriti, which is Trigunatmika, which is non-separate from Brahman, I am going step by step. Please remember that. So, Purusha and Prakriti is dependent upon Purusha. For us, Prakriti is non-separate from Purusha. Prakriti is Mithya, Purusha is Satyam. This is how we differ from Sankhyas basically, where they are both are considered independent. Okay, this Prakriti, which is Trigunatmika, which is non-separate from the Purusha, and non-separate means basically it is there as non-separate. And Purusha Anadi, Prakriti also Anadi, but non-separate. This Prakriti, which is Trigunatmika, has been divided into two. One is a Maya, which is a Vishuddha Sattva, and other is a Malina Sattva, which is Avidya. Now, this Vishuddha Sattva Maya is a Upadhi of Brahman. Then, because Prakriti, it's ultimately one Prakriti alone, which is non-separate from Brahman, and therefore that Vishuddha Sattva Upadhi also is non-separate from Brahman, is a Prakriti only. And well, that is how, but then being Vishuddha Sattva, it is controlled by the Brahman, and therefore we call Ishvara. So that is how Mai, he becomes Ishvara and controls that Prakriti called Vishuddha Sattva. We give another name called Maya. Now, Malina Sattva Prakriti. Well, that Malina Sattva Prakriti is called Avidya. And that Avidya is a one. Basically, that is also a Prakriti only. And that is also non-separate from Brahman. That is also Anadi. Avidya is also Anadi. And that Avidya, well, basically covers the nature, or covers the Brahman. Avarana Shakti. Maya, of course, well, could not cover the Brahman. And therefore, the Ishvara, well, does not have that ignorance. Ishvara controls that Maya, Upadhi. Well, here, the Brahman, which is under the control, because Avarana Shakti. So, Brahman its nature is covered. And therefore, it becomes a controlled through this Avidya Upadhi. And when it is controlled through Avidya Upadhi, means basically, same Brahman is controlled through Avidya Upadhi, Malina Sattva. And this Avidya, well, definitely it is this Brahman which is controlled through Avidya Upadhi called Jiva now, non-separate Upadhi. And well, then so Jiva is having Avidya. And therefore, well, this Avidya creates a ignorance. Avidya creates a ego. And creates ego. How that Atmanatma Viveka, the page number 2 or 3. Okay. And therefore, because see, it Avarana Shakti work is there. Therefore, the Brahman, well, definitely through Avidya Upadhi does not know itself. The self is not known. And well, as a Jiva, he doesn't know the self, And well, non-self also is also not known. And therefore, definitely there is an identification with the Avidya, which is Karana Shariram, which is, well, definitely, which is Anadi. So, Avidya is Anadi. Therefore, Jiva is Anadi. Brahman with the Avidya Upadhi, that Jiva is also Anadi, because Avidya is Anadi. Why Avidya is Anadi? Because Prakriti is Anadi. And Prakriti is non-separate from Brahman. Well, then that we divided into two. Maya is Anadi, Avidya is Anadi. Could you follow? Please. And then definitely so Avidya, with Avidya Upadhi, this Brahman becomes Jiva. Jiva is Anadi. If Jiva is Anadi, then definitely then, this Kartrutvam is Anadi, Bhoktrutvam is Anadi, because ego is going to arise. One not knowing oneself Jiva doesn't know that I am Brahman. And therefore, Jiva well definitely identifies with the avidya upadhi itself. And taking avidya as aham. Avidya is anadi, and therefore what is there in avidya also is anadi. And all the karmas, all the vasanas, they are all anadi. Kartrutvam, anadi. Bhoktrutvam, anadi. Karmas, anadi. Vasanas, vasanas of karmas and vasanas of karma phala, definitely both. They are also anadi. And this Brahman as a jiva, well, definitely is controlled. He is under the spell of the upadhi. Now, because it is just one prakriti alone, which is non-separate from Brahman, but then definitely as a Vishuddha Sattva upadhi, this Maya, well, which is under control of a Brahman, that is Ishvara, of course, with the upadhi, well, that the Maya is under the control of a Brahman, that is Ishvara, because through upadhi only we are talking about right now. And therefore, that Ishvara controls the Maya. And that Maya, well, definitely is Prakriti only, and therefore it controls also the avidya, that is Karana Shariram. And that Karana Shariram, this Jiva, who is basically under the control of avidya, is definitely controlled by Ishvara. Because Maya, through Maya is under the control of Ishvara, and therefore he controls entire Karana Prapancha, and so he controls every Karana Shariram also. And please understand this, Maya and Avidya both are just Prakriti only. There is nothing more than that, and therefore they are not separate. Swamiji, Ishvara controls Maya, but Avidya is separate. Where is separate? What is separate? Same Malin Sattva Upadhi only is Avidya. And therefore, so Ishvara controls entire Karana Prapancha, which includes all Karana Shariram also. And therefore, Ishvara is a controller of a Karana Shariram, that is Vyashti Upadhi of a Jiva. And he is a controller of a Karana Shariram, every Karana Shariram, and definitely he releases through every Karana Shariram as a Karma Phaladata, through Maya Upadhi. Of course, he is a Karma Phaladata. He is a controller of all the Karana Shariram, all the Karana Upadhis, which is definitely a Upadhi of a Jiva. And through Karana Shariram, he releases a Vasanas and Karmas, partly. And Jiva, who is under the control of the Avidya Upadhi, means Karana Shariram, means Vasanas, means Karmas, is controlled through released Vasanas and Karmas. One Karana Shariram, please understand, one Karana Shariram, basically it is, Ishvara is a controller, and Ishvara also has an eye sense in every Karana Shariram, because entire Maya is basically under the spell of Ishvara, right? Maya Vashe Vartate, he is a Mai, and therefore he has an eye sense in the entire Karana Prapanchas, therefore he has an eye sense in my Karana Shariram also, and I have also eye sense in the Karana Shariram. But mine is through Avidya Upadhi. So there is an identification with the Karana Shariram, and he has an eye sense in the Karana Upadhi, which is actually through Maya. He's really the controller of every Karana Shariram. I have an eye sense in the Karana Shariram, but I am controlled. He has eye sense in a Karana Shariram, my Karana Shariram, but because that is under his control, and therefore, definitely one is a controller of the Karana Shariram, one is controlled through Karana Shariram. One Karana Shariram. One says I, that's because really Ishvara possesses all the Karana Prapancha, entire Karana Prapancha. Whole Karana Prapancha called Maya is under his control, and therefore his eye sense in a my Karana Shariram is very genuine. My eye sense in a Karana Shariram, which is part of Karana Prapancha or Maya only, that is due to Avidya. and that is just an identification. I don't have really, I should not say this Karana Shariram is mine or I should not say. But what can I do? This avidya upadhi, same Brahman through avidya upadhi becomes controlled, gets identified. That is what we call ego, which arises from due to ignorance, avidya. And therefore, this same Brahman through different upadhis, well, becomes a controller and controlled. One Karana Shariram, one has, and he is a controller, and therefore I am as a jiva, I am controlled through Karana Shariram, and therefore I am controlled through my karmas, vasanas, etc., which are there as a part of Karana Shariram. And avidya also is a Karana Shariram, which is anadi, karmas are anadi, vasanas are anadi, all put together is Karana Shariram. Don't think that Karana Shariram means karmas and vasanas, which are infinite, of course, and that has come from avidya. Need not be. One avidya, which is anadi, which is a potentially there in a Karana Prapancha. That's a Karana Prapancha which is potential. Well, and same Brahman through this avidya upadhi, because under the spell of avidya, avarana Shakti works, and so Brahman doesn't know, as though, as a jiva, he doesn't know that I am Brahman. Definitely, because upadhi is there, avidya upadhi is there. Through avidya upadhi he is a jiva, and therefore he doesn't know that I am Brahman. Whereas through maya upadhi, same Brahman knows that I am Brahman. He is a sarvagnya. Anyway, so this jiva is a alpagnya or agnani, whatever you want to say. So this is how it is. And so, well, so definitely, since the whole Karana Prapancha is under his control, he releases as a karma phala data through maya, he releases in every Karana Shariram varieties of the karmas and vasanas, under which the same Brahman as a avidya upadhi called jiva is controlled. I think this is, I hope I have tried my best to make you understand that somewhere the controller and somewhere the control. No. This Karana Shariram alone, which really belongs to Ishvara only. In that, due to avidya upadhi, I have an I sense, because I don't know. Through avidya upadhi, well, there is avarana Shakti working, so I am not knowing that I am Brahman. And therefore, I identified with the Karana Shariram. I also put an I sense in the Karana Shariram called ego. And well, I become jiva. And then whatever avidya releases, I am controlled by that. Whatever Karana Shariram releases, well, I am controlled by that. And who releases in that Karana Shariram? That Ishvara. Who also has I sense in the my Karana Shariram. He says, all Karana Prapancha is me alone. But that's true. Ishvara alone is, along with the Maya, becomes Jagat Karanam also, and therefore, anyway, so the whole Maya is under his control, and therefore, that is Ishvara's Shakti basically, Trigunatmika Shakti, well, Ishvara's Shakti, which possesses all Karana Shariram, and then same Brahman through this Karana Shariram called Vidya, well, is controlled, because where same Brahman is at one place, have Avarana Shakti, so not knowing that I am Brahman due to this upadhi, and well, due to avidya upadhi we call him jiva, and so jiva doesn't know that I am Brahman. And another, well, this maya upadhi, well, through that the same Brahman knows that I am Brahman, because avarana Shakti doesn't work. I hope you have understood. This is a bit complicated thing, but because these things are used intermittently on all this, prajna, and sometimes Karana Shariram, and sometimes maya and avidya and all this. So I thought of, let me try to explain this way. So, behind this Karana Shariram, of course, Ishvara is controller. Same, one Karana Shariram. And both have I sense, but really speaking, this Karana Shariram belongs to, because that is a part of Karana Prapancha called Maya, that really belongs to Ishvara. Because Maya is under his control, and therefore, his I sense is a very genuine thing, not born of avidya. Well, the same Brahman through avidya upadhi, not knowing that I am Brahman, and then through avidya upadhi becomes jiva, and he also puts I sense in the same Karana Shariram, but that is due to avidya. And due to avidya means it is Brahma. The I sense in a Karana Shariram is a Brahma. And the I sense then definitely through Karana Shariram, whatever subtle body and gross body arises, in that also I sense is a Brahma, Adhyasa. And therefore, Jiva is under the spell of Karana Shariram, telling I is even Karana Shariram, Karana Sharir Vishishta Chaitanyam, we can say, and definitely same Brahman getting reflected. You can say other way also. Karana Shariram getting reflected in the I am Brahman reflecting in the Karana Shariram. That Chidavasa in a potential condition, Jiva in a potential condition. But while definitely avidya is there, so Brahman doesn't know through this avidya, which is part of Karana Shariram, doesn't know that I am Brahman. And therefore, whatever is there in the Karana Shariram is controlled by that. And the controller will be, really speaking, who has a genuine I sense in this Karana Shariram, and he releases through Karana Shariram, which has some karmas and vasanas which are there, anadi karmas and anadi vasanas which are released through Karana Shariram. And Jiva, who is under the spell of Karana Shariram, identified with the Karana Shariram, while is controlled by the karmas and vasanas. That is how it is. So this is way I have tried to give you this picture. Anyway, so yantra rudhani. So basically, yantra rudhani means basically, person wants to, well, definitely, is controlled. Yantra means this physical body, etc. And definitely rudhani, identifying with the gross body, identifying with the subtle body, identifying with the Karana Shariram also, definitely, while the Jiva is controlled. And Yantra Ruda, why should he identify with the gross body? Because definitely it is already there in a potential condition. He is already identified, and he is considering himself as just a Chidavasa or ego, or you can say ego in a potential condition, or Chidavasa in a potential condition, etc. He has already I sense in that Karana Shariram, and that is getting reflected, of course, through Chidavasa also. And therefore, as a Jiva, well, definitely in a potential condition, he has already identified with the karmas and vasanas, but those karmas and vasanas are not, they are not under his control. The controller of the all Karana Shariram is Ishvara. And so through particular Karana Shariram, he releases karmas and vasanas, under which the Jiva is controlled through that. And so physical body, etc. is also required. And well, so so they are like office, and this body is like office through which you function. Definitely, Jiva functions basically through the body. And well, some offices are big, some offices are small. So ant also is Jiva, residing in that ant Sharira. It's office for them, but very small. And the blue whale also and the Jiva enters in that body, Yantra. And so, Arudhani means basically identifying with that gross body of a well, blue whale. Well, then it's a big office. Big office means so big, you can see from several thousand feet away in the sky. You can see the body of a well. If you are passing through the sea, some ocean, you can see the body of that. So big, maybe some 100 feet or whatever. So big. So some offices are big, small, etc. But ultimately, Jivas are functioning through respective bodies. And so that is how we call Bhoga Ayatanam. Physical body is basically Bhoga Ayatanam. It's an abode. It's an operational place through which Jiva functions in the world. So that's how Vidyaranya says this word yantra used by Bhagavan in Bhagavad Gita should be understood as a physical body. And elsewhere in 18th chapter, it is called Adhishthanam. Bhagavan uses the word. At one place he says yantra, other place he said Adhishthanam for the same physical body. Adhishthanam tathakarta karanam cha pruthak vividaha cheshtaha, etc., etc. And so Daivam Chaivatra Panchamam, etc. There Bhagavan said this Adhishthanam. For the physical body, he uses the word Adhishthanam. And here in Vidyaranya says Dehadi Panjaram. Same thing. Dehadi Panjaram. Panjaram is a cage or a confined place basically, where Jiva is confined basically. Dehadi Panjaram Yantram. So this house is a cage here. The body is enclosure, basically. And tadaroha, yantra rudhani, right? Yantra means physical body. Dehadi, panjaram, yantram. And then says tadaroha, means this panjara aroha, basically. So this sthula sharira, aroha means abhimani. So abhimanita, he says. So basically, this jiva mounts this body. A plus r dhatu means to mount. So jiva basically mounts this body. Yantra arudhani. But here, mounting the body is equal to identifying with the body. It is nothing but identification. And he gives up. He gives up that identification. It's a temporary. He has an identification with the office for the functioning. And then once the function is over totally, he winds up a business. Then he gives up the office. So, same, he gives up the identification with this particular gross body at the time of death. So, this quitting the body is called abhimana tyaga. Aroha tyaga, you can also say. And then definitely identify with the other body. So, we say jiva is mounted to another body, etc. So, Jivatma residing in the Sthula Sharira, this enclosure. And what is the role of that he plays, in this Sharira, being in this Sharira? Antaryami. He basically, Jiva, our Ishvara also, same Karana Sharira manifesting to this subtle body and gross body. And Karana Sharira controller also will be there in the body only. Naturally, because he has eye sense in the Karana Shariram, but as a controller. This Karana Shariram, I have also eye sense, but through avidya, as a jiva. And so the same Karana Shariram which has manifested into the subtle body and gross body, both have eye sense. That's what I told you before also. So Virat also has eye sense. And so Ishvara becomes a Hiranyagarbha, manifest into all subtle prapancha, including my subtle body. He has eye sense. Then again through grossification, panchikaran, manifest into the Virat. So all Sthula Sharira. Well, he also has eye sense. And I also have eye sense, because I have through avidya eye sense in the Karana Sharira. Through avidya I have eye sense in a subtle body. Right? Through through avidya I have eye sense in a gross body. He also has eye sense in a gross body. But he is a controller. Right? Of everything. And that is how gross body does not function as per your will, as per Ishvara's wish, Karma Phaladata's wish. You want your subtle body to be of this type. No, sir. Well, the way Ishvara as a Karma Phaladata has given you subtle body, well, you are controlled by that. And so one is, is a controller of not just Karana Shariram, my Karana Shariram. He is controller of subtle body also, naturally. And gross body also. So he controls my gross body through Karma Phaladata, releasing certain karmas from the Sanchita. And so as a part of the Prarabdha, this body is there, in which I have eye sense through avidya, and controlled by the gross body also. I want the body, to continue for some more. Yes, Swamiji, this study I should do, this I have got a chance of this. I don't know when will I get again once I leave the body. Yeah, sir, but, yes, I am controlled. Please understand this. That's how I say when avidya just goes away, everything is Ishvara. Everything is Ishvara. Nothing is beyond Ishvara. He has already eye sense. Not that he becomes occupant later. Oh, now he has given up eye sense. Well, let me go and occupy. Ishvara is already. Entire Maya Prapancha, entire Karan Prapancha, he has eye sense. Because that is under his control. So he has identified with the entire Karan Prapancha and became Ishvara, Maya. And that alone manifests into the form of Jagat, right? Subtle world. He has eye sense, that which is under his control. In the entire Sukshma Prapancha, he has eye sense. He has identified with the eye sense, with the knowledge. With the knowledge. Yeah. He identifies with the entire subtle world. Well, but with the knowledge. So deliberate, very deliberate. And because Avarana Shakti has not worked, Vishuddha Sattva. So Avarana Shakti has not worked. That's how I call Maya. Same Prakriti only manifest into the Jagat, but I call Maya because Vishuddha Sattva. and Malina Sattva means avidya. Same Prakriti. Please understand this. And if you have questions, you ask me tomorrow. I will try to explain again. And so Abhimana is there. Ishvara also has Abhimana. As a Virat Purusha, he has Abhimana in entire Sthula Prapancha. And he has Abhimanam in my gross body, in my subtle body. Abhimanam is I sense, identification. But with the knowledge, Sarvajna. He has knowledge. Therefore, this is really under his control. And I have I sense, which I should not have actually. Which I should not have. But as a jiva, I identify with this through avidya. But basically Brahman, through avidya upadhi becomes jiva. Therefore jiva is addressed in a Mahavakya as that you are Brahman. Means avidya gone. Avidya gone means the jiva srushti also gone. What I have created also gone. Yeah, the upadhi, main upadhi, karanam has gone. Avidya has gone, then sthula sukshma sharira abhimana also will go. So then I am human being, these, all the notions which is jiva srushti gone. Sthula sharira continues due to prarabdha. Subtle body continues, prarabdha. And then I sense also in that will continue. I talked about it yesterday. That is there in the Drugdrishya Viveka. There are 3 types of identifications are there. Vidyaranya Swami talks about in Drugdrishya Viveka in verse number 8. Sahaja tadatmyam, karmaja tadatmyam, Bhranti Jatadatmya, in which one particular identification goes, other 2 identification will remain, even after gaining knowledge. Vedanta cannot remove Tadatmyam. 2 types of Tadatmya Vedanta cannot remove. That will be there as a part of Ishvara Srushti. It will continue. First is a Sahaja Tadatmya. Sahaja Tadatmya means what? The mind is there. In the mind there is a aham vritti. Aham vritti arises. As the aham vritti arises, well, reflection also will be there. Right away it is there. Right away. You can't do anything. It's a part of Ishvara Srushti only. As the mind is created and aham vritti is there, subtle body is created by Ishvara for this jiva, he requires that subtle body from the Karana Sharira according to his Karana Sharira. Well, through his karmas and vasanas, subtle body is created. Then immediately reflection also will be there. So in aham vritti, reflection will be automatically. Chidabhasa is automatically there. Sahaja. Sahajayate iti sahaja. Goes together. As aham vritti is jayate, created, then Chidabhasa also is created immediately. That Sahaja Tadatmyam cannot be removed by Jnana. That will be there throughout the life. Because subtle body will be there. And therefore, as per that is Ishvara's karma, as a karma phala data is Ishvara's will, is a Ishvara Srushti. Subtle body is Ishvara Srushti. It is not my Srushti. I told that I am subtle body is my Srushti due to avidya. But Ishvara has created this. That is it under the Ishvara's control. He has created, and therefore, subtle body will continue. Then aham vritti continues. Then Chidabhasa continues. Ego continues. Aham vritti continues. So the Chidabhasa will continue. It will continue. So Sahaja Tadatmyam cannot be disturbed by Vedanta Jnana. It will be there. Then Karmaja Tadatmyam cannot be. Karmaja, Prarabdha Karma. Ishvara Srushti. So subtle body, gross bodies are Ishvara Srushti. And therefore Jnani cannot destroy his body, cannot destroy subtle body, cannot destroy gross body. Right? And therefore definitely that will continue. And therefore if that continues, then this identification also will continue. Why? Because ego has to definitely undergo. He has done in the past as a Ajnani, he has done some karmas. And therefore, by law of karma, definitely that ego has to definitely undergo some pleasure and pain experiences. So ego has to continue. Yeah, body continues. But body will continue. But the ego will go away. If then who will enjoy prarabdha? Body cannot enjoy. The ego which is residing in the body, the jiva, well, definitely has to experience pleasure and pain through the body. So the evil ego has to continue to enjoy the prarabdha. That's the law of karma. So ego will also continue. Only Bhranti Jatadatma will go. That ego is me. Abba. Superimposition of ego on Brahman, that is my real nature. That goes. That is the Ajnanam. And Adhyasa born of Ajnanam. That goes. Nothing else go. So therefore, ego, birth of ego will not be disturbed. Aham vritti will definitely arise because subtle body is there. And then Chidabhasa will be definitely there. And therefore that ego is definitely a conscious being, a conscious entity. That will be there all the time. And that ego will continue because prarabdha is there. Karmaja tadatmya. So ego has to identify with the gross body. That is karmaja tadatmya. Ego and Chidabhasa born together will be always together, identified, continues. Ego has identification with this gross body, should be there to experience pleasure and pain. If ego does not identify with the gross body, like in an operation table, right? On operation table, this person was made unconscious. Now he has not identified with the gross body. Then therefore whatever they do, all these doctors, you people, cut. No experience of pain, pleasure, nothing. Yeah. So, ego has to identify, means this body should be conscious. Ego means basically identify with the gross body means what? Body should be conscious. And therefore, so ego's identification with the gross body should continue also. Law of karma, Ishvara. And so both this identification will remain. Identification of ego with the Chidabhasa. As aham vritti arises, consciousness will reflect. So that will continue. And then ego will have to undergo certain pleasure pain experiences. And that's how in Jnani's life we see all these situations, varieties of the situations. And definitely there is suffering also. Suffering, that kind of it will be there. Pain, etc. will be there. Pleasure, pain will be there. Anyway, I discussed in detail yesterday. But my point is, these two tadatmyams cannot go. It's a Ishvara Srushti. Subtle body, gross body will be there. And in the subtle body, the ahamvritti, the Chidabhasa will definitely be there. So that is consciousness identified with the ahamvritti called this ego will be there. And so as the ahamvritti arises, consciousness will be reflected, ego will be there. That ego has to undergo experiences identifying with the gross body. That identification cannot go because that is born of karma. Both Ishvara Srushti. But then that I am the ego. I am jiva, I am individual. I am gross body, I am subtle body. Oh, that is born of avidya only. So this much it will go. Nothing more than that. Why? Yesterday you discussed that. Why you are discussing? Because most of you were not there. I'm sure. See how confidently you are telling. But what can I do? You may be also tired. Every day discussing. Let us keep one day away from him. But it's very important to remove the notion. Swamiji, if you really if you prick a pin in me right now, I am feeling pain. So I am identified with the body. So I don't have jnana. Next day after class, again pricking with the pin. Oh, pain is there. Oh, identification with the body is there. Oh, no knowledge. Swamiji, I am learning so much, but I feel that I have all the time identification with the body is there. I think ignorance does not get shaken by whatever you want to say. Raman Maharshi, Swamiji underwent a surgery without anesthesia, and Sadashiva Brahmendra Saraswati when he was walking naked on the road and some enemy came and cut his hand, he did not know at all. And then somebody came after some time and put the hand again, and how he put the hand, that is Ishvara's anyway. And so, that also he did not know. Whoever does not feel the pain born in the body is Jnani. Then highly diabetic is a really Jnani. Yeah. Highly diabetic is, without undergoing any study, he is a Jnani. And the person with a certain specific skin disease, who also does not have a sensation of touch, etc. So even if you prick, he doesn't know. Oh, he's a Jnani. I need not study also. Let me have this kind of diseases. Let me become highly diabetic. What is this? What nonsense? What is this nonsense? Pain of the body, karmaja tadatmyam. Yeah, ego continues. Ego has done in the past. He was a champion. He did a lot of things under ignorance. Yeah. So all this will continue. Only I am ego. That goes. The superimposition of ego on this Brahman, which is my real nature, but due to avidya, I was not knowing, and therefore I identified with the ego. That is, identify with the subtle body, gross body, causal body. That is the individual. What else the individual is? And therefore entire Karana Sharira I have identified with. And therefore all karmas belong to me. All vasanas belong to me. All punya papas belong to me. The subtle body belong to me. All dharmas of subtle body belong to me. Then gross body belong to me. That is me. Therefore all dharmas of gross body belong to me. That is individual. Just that ego is born of ignorance, avidya, which is saupati of jiva. That avidya is attacked, and therefore adhyasa, which is born of avidya, goes. You won't claim this karana shariram, subtle body, sukshma shariram, and gross body as you. They will continue because that is Ishvara. That is Ishvara. They will continue. And this gross body continues, given by Ishvara, and ultimately he is a claimant, right? This is a part of Karana Prapancha and part of subtle Prapancha and part of the whole gross Prapancha. So they will continue as per the law of karma, which is Ishvara. So they will continue. And therefore for Jnani, Ishvara Srishti continues. So Jnani continues. Whatever is there in Ishvara's, whatever is there in his subtle mind, he does not say it is me. Whatever punya papas are there, he does not say it is me. Whatever vasanas are there, he says it is not me. So he is very objective to his subtle body, mind, etc. also. Very objective to gross body also. So, but the pain, pleasure, etc. arises in the mind as a part of prarabdha, will be there. He would not say, now I am ego, and so they belong to me. All karmas belong to me, vasanas belong to me. He won't say. All ragadveshas belong to me. He won't say. So this is how it is. That is how in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, I discussed this because since 2 days it was going in my mind that, whether this part we should discuss or not, but now ultimately I decided. Therefore, in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which we are going to discuss after this chapter, the one mantra, whole chapter is devoted to that one mantra, very important mantra. Atmanam chit vijaniyat ayamasmiti purusha kimichan kasya kamaya shariram anusanjvaret. There Upanishad uses the word shariram anusanjvaret. So depending upon the condition of the physical body, gross body and subtle body, etc. Well, this Jnani now does not have a fever. But that's another thing. Anujvaret. Jvara means a fever. So Upanishad should use word that, well, he does not have suffering. Jvara means, fever means suffering. But no. Upanishad uses the word anujvara. So jvara will be there. Suffering will be there. But then there will not be something which is after suffering. That will not be there. What is this? What is this? Suffering is suffering. What is after suffering? So these bodies, due to prarabdha, will create some pain, pleasure, etc. That will continue. Anujvara, well, he will not be there. Oh, pain is there, therefore I am really having pain. No, that will not be. He is quite objective to the mind which is undergoing suffering even of the karma. Anujvara. So not jvara. Jvara will be there. Anujvara will not be there. Like the child, I gave that example of yesterday. Child. So child will have a just physical suffering. Child will not have a emotional suffering. Yeah. Physical suffering will be there. He has a fever, he cries. But well, I have a fever. My father has not much salary. Then when I am admitted into the hospital, how much expenses will be there? And a lot of people have to take care of me. My mother, the whole night, and she's crying a lot, and she has to be awake throughout the night. This suffering will not be there. So the samanya abhimanam we call. Now I will tell you other way. Samanya abhimanam to the body, etc. will continue even in the jnani. Vishesha abhimanam requires a developed intellect, which is not there in a child, which is there in a mature person, physically mature person. That buddhi is there, which makes him a self-conscious. And well, he will have the abhimanam in this body, that this is me, being self-conscious. That will go. The samanya abhimanam will be there, and accordingly the condition of the body, etc., mind, etc., will definitely, due to that, some suffering, when pleasure, pain, due to prarabdha will be there. It will be there. The vishesha abhimanam will go away. This is how the thing is. Anyway, where is the Pancadasi and where but this is required. So I thought this samanya abhimanam will be there for everyone who has not even having a developed intellect. Even animals also have that identification with the body. Yeah. How do you say? That is, where does it, where is it told? In Adhyasa Bhashyam, Bhashyakara says this, that even animals also have this Adhyasa. The samanya, a general identification with their body. How do you know? Because they don't say that we have Adhyasa. Right? They don't have developed intellect, so samanya abhimanam with their body also will be there. Like child. How do you know? Because if you go with the grass, well, that cow comes near. And if you go with that stick, the cow goes away. That shows they take the body as self. So this ignorance is there. And due to ignorance, the samanya abhimanam with the gross body, subtle body will be there. And they also don't have developed intellect. Child also does not have a developed intellect. So that's how samanya abhimanam. Vishesha abhimanam requires a developed intellect, in which there is a self-consciousness. Like animals, even child, infant, does not have that sense that, there should be clothes on my body, etc. You can understand. So that self-consciousness is not total in them. Even in the child, infant child, I'm the human child I'm talking about. Could you follow what I'm saying? Yeah. But once you become physically mature, you will have a developed intellect in which there is a self-consciousness. And well, then you are conscious of the body as yourself totally. Well, then that Vishesha Abhimanam only goes by this knowledge. Samanya Abhimanam will continue due to prarabdha. Because body is born of prarabdha. It is a fructification of the prarabdha of that ego jiva, basically. And therefore, well, by law of karma, well, that ego or jiva has to undergo the pleasure, pain, etc. will be there. But this jnani does not superimpose this ego upon himself. He knows I am a witness of this ego, and therefore he will not identify with the condition of the ego. Ego continues, which we call badhit ahankara. Will continue. What continues and undergoes experience also, or which will be experienced by you, let's say, is mithya. What continues, and you continue means you will experience it. So that is mithya. So it doesn't become non-existent, etc. Like sunrise, you know that it is not there, it's badhitam, but you continue to experience. Same way the ego also will be experienced till the arrow loses the momentum. It will be there. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.